If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First, it's free. Second, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else podcasts are heard. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Stories, the hustle, the grind, the push, the pain, the time, love, the sweat, the tears, goes beyond the lights, the stage, the fame, and the message stays the same. You're listening to the Indie Takeover.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so thank you for your love, for sure. It's always on, it's always on. Your door's open, walk-ins, I know. Call me on time, we talk for sure. I know, I didn't earn this. Yeah. I know, times I try to say goodbye to this. I know it's been dark suns and some bright moons. We done made 5-star meals with ramen noodles. Back up, just imagine if none of this happened. It would change my whole world. It was supposed to happen. We was just some young boys going wild, yeah. Then he left the 99 to come find us. Wake up, check, breathe in, breath, second chance you get, yeah. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so in my lungs. Yeah, I'm so grateful. It's your breath in my lungs. I'm so grateful. I'm so wake up, check, breathe in, breath, second chance you get, yeah. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so
You're that I wanted more. You're that my heart longs for. You gave it all and paid it all. And when I fall, you're always there to catch me. You'll never forsake me. Pay it all for me. Yeah, 'cause I ain't gotta learn, I ain't gotta search. 'Cause I know you're there, I know you're right there. Where my help comes from, nowhere. Smile after fall down and you pick me up. I can't say it enough, yeah. Wake up, check, breathe in, breath, second chance you give, yeah. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Take Over with Jeremy Gibson, and I'm your host. Obviously, I'm Jeremy Gibson, and I am here joined by my brother, my friend, the Bay Area's own, the hypest vocalist, lyricist, worship leader, husband, father, creative producer extraordinaire himself, the one, the only. It's nobody like you, brother. Justin Goss. We share the same initials, so I feel a special connection with this brother. So Justin, I introduced you in my own words, but can you tell the Indie Takeover audience who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
All right, so my name is Justin Goss. Like you said, we got the same initials. I'm from Fairfield, California.
Fairfield?
The Bay. They be trying to hate. Like, it's the Bay. It's the last city. You know what I mean? Just put some respect on our city. But anyway, I'm from Fairfield. I grew up there my whole life. Lived back and forth between there and Vallejo. I've been married for 10 years now this year. Excited about that.
Shout out to marriage.
You know, you already know the trials and triumphs, right? And it's not like an album title, but anyway.
Come on, I'm with it.
Right, it's not like a gospel album title, but anyway. Yeah, so we've been married for 10 years, you know what I mean? So all the ups and downs, hell and back, but praise God, we still here. We got 3 kids, and so we got 11, 9, and 6, and we practicing right now, but I'm hoping for one more.
Nice.
And, you know, they say practice makes perfect.
It does.
So yeah, man. So yeah. And I also, like, as well as I write, produce, that not make beats, but like I produce. So I vocal produce and record, mix and master all my own stuff, and for a bunch of other artists as well, with Know Your Word Studios, which is my studio that I have. So yep, that's I know I didn't say much, but
no, you said a lot. So Justin, tell me this: how did it start? How did you realize I do this lovely pay to the tribute to Brown Sugar? When did you fall in love with music?
Man, when I was a kid, I wanted to be Ozone from Breaking. Ozone, he was the dopest dancer ever. So when I was a kid, I loved dancing, and so like my mom, I would be auditioning for commercials, Disney, things like that. And so I fell in love with singing because of Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was my favorite as a kid.
Yeah.
Just because I used to think that Michael Jackson and Turbo were the same people. I don't know why. Just like I thought my older sister was Mary J. Blige. Like I really did thought she was. But
that is hilarious.
So those are that was like my beginning, and then like Boys to Men, and of course like growing up in church, you hear a lot of singing, but I didn't really grow up enjoying church much at all.
Mm-hmm.
There was one of my greatest inspirations as a kid was Brother Reginald Biddle from OPAV, Church of God in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I thought he was Stevie Wonder. Like he was fire. He was fire. Still is fire. I love Reggie. Shout out to Reg, Uncle Reg. But yeah, so that's what began my first passion. I would have to say like Ozone and Michael Jackson, and then probably Brother Reggie from OPAV.
Great performers, I will say.
Who you talking about?
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, he cool. I'm just saying he cool. My kids say Bruno Mars is a better performer than Michael Jackson.
So that's because he's part of their generation. So
yeah, that's a fact. I
won't fault them.
You're right. Michael Jackson get up there and stand on stage and don't do nothing,
and folks falling out like they had a Benny Hinn conference.
Right.
Benny Hinn me. So I know you mentioned kind of some great names, so that have been influences for you. But when did you decide like, yo, this is really what I want to do? Like I want to go beyond just being inspired, just feeling like, okay, that's what I want to do. When did you take it and make it real?
Well, I remember I came back, just to set up the story. I came back from college, and I wanted to do music. I really did. I wanted to do music. I sang background for like a bunch of people, R&B artists and stuff. And so I remember calling, I never forget this, I called Marcus Crawford, right? And that's like my guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, bro, like I really think I can be an artist. And he was like, all right. And I'm like, bro, like, stop playing with me, bro. Like, no, I'm serious. You know what I mean? I'm like 19, 20 years old, and I'm like, cuz, like, I really, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like explaining to him, and he was like, bro, you gotta find you a young producer who's gonna produce your type of sound, and blah, 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 and you can do it. And I'm like, bro, I don't wanna find nobody, cuz, you fire, like, you produce me, you know what I'm saying? And so he just was like, man, you need to get somebody that's your style. Like, and he was like, you know, he was telling me, and I was like, at that point, I had no style. You know what I mean? What? I ain't got no music, I ain't got no style. And so one day I was leading worship at a church in Fairfield, and Brandon Peavy. I've known Brandon Peavy since he was about 8 years old. I knew his dad. His dad was, you know, super big mentor, and especially in ministry and music, he was killing it, and super looked up to him. And so Brandon was just a byproduct. You know what I'm saying? He was dope on drums as a kid, and you know everybody loved the kid drummers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Kid drummers is lit. And so his dad was like, hey, Justin, you know, Brandon making beats, you know, and I feel like I was kind of curving him. I ain't gonna lie. Cause, you know, I know like Dave, and like I'm cool with like all the popular musicians in the Bay. And I'm like, oh, he makes beats. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, how old is he? What is he? 12? Right? I'm just like minimizing them. Right. And then he was like, just let him show you. He's nervous to, well, I didn't know if he said he's nervous to ask you, but I know Brandon didn't want to ask because he was, you know. And so, because he was young, he didn't want to get curved or whatever. Right. And so then we were after church. He was like, bro, I'm gonna show you a little something. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you good.
Okay. So he was like, I'm gonna show you a little something that I got. Right. He hecka nervous. So he plays me the first song he plays is a song that he took it offline. It was on his first album. It was called My Beat Go Boom, right? And it had Sean Carey. You know Sean Carey. Yeah. He's killing it in the Bay right now. He got a new single out. Yeah, look at Sean Carey. That's my little cousin. But and so so the beat starts and it's like I'm like, okay, it's kind of mixed good, right? It's like mixed good. Right. And it was like, my beat go boom, 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 boom. My beat go boom, 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 boom. And I was in the car. That junk, like, it's trash now. Before the time, that junk was fire. I was like, yo, you made this? And I'm thinking he's just lying. Like, I'm just like, what? All right, show me another one, right? Because everybody can have one little joint. And everything he was playing me was tight. And so his dad, I was broke as a joke. His dad was like, listen, I'll give you a few dollars, come out to the studio and just come and check it out. Because I lived in Fairfield at the time and they lived all the way in Rancho Cordova past Sac. So we go to the studio and Asia, and my wife, she was like, I don't know what to expect of this. I was like, man, me neither. But, you know, everybody else that I wanted to work with was always like kind of pushing me, not dissing me, but just like, man, you need to find your sound. I'm like, what? Right. I can just do worship, whatever you want to do. I can do doobie pow, whatever style you got, let me do. Boom. So we get to the studio. I'm like super hyped. He's playing me a bunch. He playing me like his whole album, right? You know, excited. I do the same thing. I'm so annoying. People come to my studio. I'm like, all right, I know we got to start your session, but look, I want to show you 17,000 songs. So he played me a heck of music, and then he played me this one beat, and he was like, you got something? And I was like, all right, let me try. I got something in my head. I had a little melody, and I just had this hook. It sounded like if I played it, because if I look at my Gmail, I could find it. But it was like, you died for me. Heck, it doobie power, right? Yeah. He set me free. He gave your blood way back on Calvary. Like, it was just, heck, it just the same note. Right. But the track was fire. It was like, and when I got out, and then I had like my wife like do the harmony. And when I got out of the booth, and I almost started crying because he was like, you know, Brand, he was trying to show off for us, right? So he's like trying to mix hecka fast, get the sound good, the reverb, and getting it going. And I look at Asia, and she was like, wow, like, I really think that you can do this. And she said that to me. And I left the studio. I'm talking about, bro, we drove, and it's an hour and a half from Fairfield to his house. Yeah. And I listened to that everything we freestyle, I just played it over and over and over and over. And my wife was like, you got it. And at that point, I never, ever wrote a song. I never was like, you know what I'm saying? I've been in the studio. I've been in some sessions with like rappers like Your Boy and Messy Marv. And like, I've had like studio sessions with people or doing some backgrounds for people, but I never like have my own session where I'm writing something, or
Right.
you know, I never was walking through the park with a pen and a paper and I'm like, "Woo, as the wind blows, Lord, my soul blows for you." You know what I mean? Like, I never was doing that.
Right.
And then when I had that moment, even though like when we first started, all we was doing was freestyling. Like, he'd be like, "Yo, this beat is tight," and I'd be like, "Jesus, he died and he rose and he came back again and he is my best friend." Like, we just freestyling until somebody. Well, I'm going. So that is when I first found out that I wanted to do it. So I'm about to go on a whole nother story.
Well, hey, this is it's what it is. I find it. So of course I never knew that story, but like I remember definitely was years ago. And I think it was kind of a time where a lot of, you know, we have a surge in the Bay, and I know a lot of areas are the same, you know, where we'll have a lull of like nothing, like no real creative, you know, it's kind of like, you know, but there was a moment where there was a lot of unique voices like being birthed, and you were one of them, you know. And it really felt like a freestyle moment in the Bay, because there was like and it didn't matter the genre, because it was like there were choirs that were coming out, like shout out to Javen Williams, who had his short run being a choir, but it was like these like young, excited, passionate voices, you know. And Justin Goss was one of them. And I, you know, thankfully had the opportunity to work with you 2 years ago for Bay Area Gospel Music Weekend.
Yeah, that was lit. I was the most different thing in that building.
Yo, and I loved it. Like, I think that whole night, it was just a very unique thing. And the funny thing is this, I always talk about my mama, but my mama was like, "That boy." She was like, "I think he was my favorite the whole night."
Oh, that's what's up.
And listen, my mom is, you know, I'm not saying she's super old or churchy or anything like that, but I grew up, listen, I sing, I act, I perform. My mom did not look impressed one bit from it. I would look at her like, "You gonna smile? You gonna do something?" And she was like, blank faced, right? I would get through and she would tell me, "Oh, you did a good job," or, you know, I'm like, "Well, why you didn't look like I did a good job?" And she's like, "Well, I'm not trying to throw you off, you know, I just want you to be you," right?
Wow.
And so I grew up like, well, man, I can't worry about nobody's, you know, reaction, because you never know what they really feel. But I know my mom is not one to like quickly and I ain't trying to make this a whole thing, but for her to like notice you, because it's different from what she normally hears, right? Or what she normally listens to. But listen, she loved Molly music, she loved Jermaine Dally, like, and I'm like, "Wait, Mom, you was a Donnie McClurkin fan for like, you know, they don't fit in that category." But no, she loved Justin Goss, and
that's what's up.
I know she'll probably listen to this episode like, "Oh yeah, that was him." So I know if you don't have no other fans besides your family and me and what, you got my mama as your fans.
Let's get it.
But I say that to say that your impact on audiences, although you are unique in your own right, your impact is definitely not confined to just one audience or one demographic, you know. And I know you probably know that already, but I think it's because you authentically perform and get up and you're consistent in being yourself, right? So I kind of want to talk about that. Because I feel this whole show is about talking about independent artistry and like, you know, budding artists that want to be something, whatever. I said that kind of shady. That's not how I meant it. But
want to be something or whatever.
Those that have passions that they want to pursue and whatnot. But I think it's really important to do what you have done and stay consistent in being who you are, you know, and staying the course. Like, I've obviously seen your growth as an artist, but I don't feel like any of that has been contrary to who I've seen you authentically be, whether it's on stage or off stage.
Yeah.
Where did that comfort or that strength come from? Because I don't think everybody knows how to really embrace that ability.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in foster care. And so, and even though I lived with one family my whole life, I mean, the ups and downs with that, from being molested and abused, and also so many times just kind of like forgotten, you know what I mean? And I had to learn to love myself, you know, even though I hated myself a lot as a kid, you know what I mean? Just because I felt like I wasn't worthy enough to be kept, right? Since my biological mom wasn't there, and I have no clue who my dad is. I don't know who I look like. I know that the family I'm with, I love, and I got the same last name, but none of us look alike, and nobody else sings, you know what I'm saying? Nobody else acts, nobody else is doing modeling. I'm the only one, you know? And so like having that experience, I had to learn to love myself. And so like I had a lot of time by myself, because there was a lot of my life where I would be with certain aunts and uncles, and I would be, everybody would have their regular name, right? So say if there's three of us, it would be like, that's Julian, that's Jonathan, and that's my mom's foster child. You know what I mean? And so I was always just kind of alienated in that way. And so I always felt, oh, sorry, I just gotta go. I always felt really weird, you know what I'm saying? Or like, why am I always? And so even after I got saved, I was always like, I'm too saved. I was never like just good enough. I was always like, oh, well, you don't listen to rap now, and all you listen to is gospel. That's too much. You know what I mean? You can listen to oldies and like, you know, and I was just like, well, if that's what y'all want to do, I feel convicted about that. I don't feel it don't sit right with my spirit. You know what I'm saying? Y'all wasn't selling weed. A lot of y'all wasn't doing what I was doing. And so a lot of that stuff I was doing is being reminded to me in the music. You feel me? So because I had a lot of that lonely time, and that like I felt like this is gonna be like the best example. Like I felt too Christian for my unsafe friends and not enough Christian for my safe friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I was always kind of this people pleasing thing. And I remember when they were shifted for me, right? Because I've always wanted to be really honest, because I see people be healed from my testimony of being molested and all the things I dealt with. And so I always wanted to be honest. But it used to be from a very look at me point, right? I had this song called Foster Boy, and it was like, the chorus goes, "You said I would never be nothing, but they see me doing my thing now," right? They threw my name in the dirt. I promise I hurt, but I'm smiling. I'm saying, look at me now, right? And it's like, that's not really a Christian ideology, right? Mm-hmm. It's very like, look at me, I'm stunting on y'all now, I'm on tour, so y'all can all shut up. Like, that's really whack. But I realized after talking to my brother, he had performed for this tour, and for artists I like, but at the time they weren't that much more popular than me. I was, pretty lit at that time. I was one of kind of like the peak of my career, honestly. And I was like, he was performing a song that I'm not even on. And I was like, yo, you should let me hop on your set. You know what I mean? And I'll sing the hook for it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, he knew I was being hecka thirsty. You know what I mean? Period. He knew I was being thirsty. So he was like, it's good. You know what I mean? Right. So then I performed with him, right? Right. And then at the end of the show, we're sitting down talking to the artists, right? Like I said, I'm just as popular as these artists. And I'm being so fake. I'm acting like I'm just like, that fake trying to build with people that like, yo, bro, what y'all doing is so tight, and I don't really mean it. I'm so fake. My brother kicked me underneath the table, and when Bruz walked out, and he was like, bro, you sound trash. Like, you are the thirsty, like, bro, I'm embarrassed. He said they keep looking at each other and blah, 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 blah. And bro, and he called me the next day and bring me some more. Like, bro, that was the thirstiest thing I ever seen in my life. Like, you look like you just trash. Like, what are he just was going off on me. And that transitioned me as a person, as a man of God, as everything, because I realized I was acting. See, I might have been honest in what I was saying, but the motive of why I was saying it was the fakest thing in the world. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, happy day. my black sins whiter than snow. Yeah. You mean, oh, oh, you mean, yeah. I'm just the least of these, but why you feel like you gave me everything, yeah. Gave me a family. Trust is way bigger than a wedding ring, yeah. Told I wouldn't see 18. Ooh, but baby, look at me. Went from holes in my jeans, now that they're purposely. Used to wanna end my life, now look at the smile on me. Went from a crack baby, now I'm living out my dreams. Ooh, you made something out of nothing. So my life is, yeah, unforgettable, forgettable.
Honestly, to be really honest, that was my transition.
Right.
And I was happy for that moment because, like, you know, even one time Andy Mineo, right? Andy Mineo, Christian rapper, right? Super popular, one of the most popular. So we're all backstage, right? And you know me, you know my personality. I'm super lit, right? But I used to be very attention seeking, and I still have that kind of thing sometimes. And I'll try. I've learned better how to have a lot more purpose with my gift and ability to create attention, right? But bro, when I tell you I'm backstage and I'm trying to like create heck of viral moments, I'm like, yo, Andy, what if I'm like trying to create content backstage, right? And I know him a little bit. I've met him a bunch of times. We chopped it up or whatever. And so like, I'm like, yo, like, what if we do something with the, like, I was being so annoying. And the next show I came, right? And he was like, yo, let me holler at you, right? And so obviously me and Andy, well, not obviously, but me and Andy are the same age, but he's obviously like way more lit. He signed to Reach Records. He's going crazy, right? He was like, bro, yesterday, you're a lot, bro. And he was like, bro, I think you're so talented, dog. Like, I think you're like I'm insecure while you're singing over here and you're just loud. And he was like, but bro, like, imagine, he's like, who do you want to tour with, right? I was like, I gave him my tour lineup, right? He's like, come on, dream with me. And I was like, bro, me, The Truth, Mally Music, and whoever else I said in the end. Right. And he was like, bro, that sounds so dope. And he said, imagine if before the show, Mally Music is trying to chill and you're trying to post them all on Instagram. Imagine how annoying that is. He said, listen, I love you. That's why I'm chopping it up with you. Like, I wouldn't, like, I would just tell Brandon, like, you can't come backstage with us. And it's good, but I want to have a teachable moment with you because you're called to do all these things. Wow. But you don't have to try so hard. He was like, bro, when you walked in the building, I told my DJ, I bet you $1 million this dude is hecka funny. I can tell by his smile. I bet you he's funny. But then you came in and tried to sell me funny. Instead of just like, yo, what's up? I'm Justin, da-da-da-da. Right. He's like, yo, I had the camera on him like, yo, Andy. And he like did something funny, but I can tell he wasn't feeling it. But I'm like, nah, but I'm going to get him to like me. I was trying to make him like me. And so from that moment, I know I'm kind of rambling, but from those two moments.
This is good. This is really
good. From
good.
those two moments, I realized how thirsty I was, how desperate I was for attention, and how destined I was to crash into a wall with someone who probably I need to rub shoulders well with, that I would end up turning off and getting kicked off the tour because of being too thirsty. Wow. And I was so happy that The Truth didn't tell me that, because that's my favorite. That's like top 5 favorite artists ever of all times, any genre. The Truth is my guy. And I'm just imagining if he were to tell me that, like, a lot of people don't have those patience. No. And I wasn't being the most annoying, but like, bro, he's a headliner of the show. Right. And I'm back here like, they're having devotion, and I'm talking to my godbrother, and I'm just chopping it up as if blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And like we had a moment that we did while they were having Bible study that did go like viral. And I just was hecka juiced about that. He was like, yeah, I seen your clip got 150,000 views, but at what expense? It was hecka annoying.
Right.
Like it was hecka annoying. And so it's like those moments right there taught me so much. Like the most that I've learned out of majority of the things that I've experienced as an artist.
Justin, I am like almost jaw dropped right now because of this. I feel there's so much you said that I feel like we could unpack, you know, and we got a little time. We could unpack a little bit. Yeah. We could pull little things out the luggage, but no, your experience, your growth. I feel like being able to hear those words of critique, of feedback on your behavior, and being able to make like in the moment or even retrospective, you know, like, okay, listen, I gotta look at myself, see how it applies, you know, and I got to make the necessary adjustments. Like people don't hear that. People don't walk in that level of adjustment, like being that malleable, you know, like are you can and not trying to make it super spiritual, but can God really mold you like that? If you can't hear from your brother or your sister, you know,
somebody that physically, you know, they love you.
Exactly. Like God for sure can't tell you what he wants you to do, and you know, but I love the fact that you were able, because you know, being a manager, being involved with productions and stuff, you see a lot, you know, and you have to pick and choose, you know, and you're a producer yourself. You see moments working with artists where you're like, you know, but you also have to pick and choose, like, do I dig in right here? Do I, you know, because there's more, just like you said, what was said to you, like when people are able to see what you're called to do, and like the greater beyond what the, you know, is, because we all have those issues. Like I think about myself 10 years ago and how annoying I would have been to myself. People ask me a dumb, this has nothing, it has something to do, but it's so random. But like people will ask my wife, like people that really know me know how goofy I am. But people will ask my wife, how are you married to him?
Yeah, people ask my wife this.
And I'm like, that's not a compliment. Like that's not, you know, as much as I get their point, like you guys are different, you know, I get that point, but you don't ask nobody that.
You know,
that's
so trash.
You know,
it really is trash.
But I get the fact that people don't realize how, like, we all are layered. We all are complex creatures, you know. But I say that to say what people see and what people are able to experience from you, like, is just one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, 100%.
And as an artist, like you have, not you in particular, but artists in general, have to learn how to give what is necessary. You know,
man, that is so good. And my uncle, I wanted to say this. My uncle told me something when I was young. It was like, if you want to be successful, you have to learn how to shut up and listen. Because I was not like, because I played baseball, right? I was super dope. I got drafted and out of high school. I mean, I didn't end up going to the league. It was like 24th round, so it really don't count. It's either you going overseas or you got to go to college. But still, that don't happen for people. You know what I'm saying? So I got a great opportunity because I was so good, but I was so arrogant. I was arrogant in all sports. You couldn't tell me nothing. I played varsity, all sports since 10th grade. I played varsity football, baseball, and you couldn't tell me nothing. And he would always be like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm going to the league, like, I'm like, what you mean, cuz? I picked one, boy. You see the scholarships at the crib? You know what I mean? And he was like, if you want to be successful, you got to learn to listen to somebody. And though that was one of those retrospective type of conversations that when I talked to Mission, and then when Mission got on me and when Indy got on me, it was like, because sometimes it's hard to see, you know what I mean? Because I had a very foster boy mentality, where it's like, how can I take advantage of what I feel my greatness is, right? So it's like, I'm so funny, right, to myself, right? I'm hecka funny. And if I'm be funny, right, which is just a mask, right, of whatever pain I'm dealing with. But if I can be funny, then people will like me. Because it's always worked. Right. Everybody's in class cracking up. Look at the teacher. She looked like Arsenio Hall. And everybody wink. Like, oh my God, look at her. She do look like Arsenio Hall, right? And it's like, boom. So it's like, if I use my funny throughout my life, then that will win at any cost because everybody wants to laugh, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? And so I tried to use that as a mask in order to get the laughs that equals love to me.
Wow.
And all it was a lie. I was just lying to myself saying, hey, all these people are going to love me because I am funny.
Right.
Not because I am Justin, but because I am funny. And I had to learn that the hard way because when you ain't hot no more and everybody ain't laughing, you'll realize who calling your phone.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Justin,
shout out to my brother, Drew Allen.
Shout out to Drew.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. It may be a little reaching, maybe a little deep, intrusive. I don't know. But I believe one of the key points of, I don't want to say gospel artists because I don't think it's just confined to gospel. But do you feel in yourself, in your own craft, your own work, that you have been healed from that foster mentality? Or is that something that you are like constantly like having to, as has been said before, like daily deliverances? Like, is that something that you constantly battle, or is it like a past thing?
It's a daily thing, honestly, because I lived most of my life being a foster child.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't everybody, but up and even until, like, I mean, people changed, like, cause senior year, like, I'm so raw in baseball. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just I go to the league. Everybody start trying to be nice. Like, bro, when I tell you, 9th grade, I had 2 family members come. 9th grade, I played varsity at Fairfield High. I hit 3 bombs that game. I came home and bragging and was like, okay.
Right.
As a 9th grader playing against seniors, and I had to hit 3 home runs, and it was as if it never happened. Like, it was crazy. But then my senior year, because nobody came junior year, and I won athlete of the year, triathlete of California. Like, I had all those, you know what I'm saying? Like, I did, I think it was that year, whatever. I don't want to over brag because I'm kind of bragging a little bit. But senior year, everybody's coming now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's really hard to make it out of that. Because truth be told, I work with a company called Foster Kids of America, and I talk to the parents all the time, and I'm like, wow, I guess I was a special case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was able to really see, because it's hard because you're such a victim.
Right.
You're such a victim, and you are a victim. But when you carry that victim mentality, like, it's either you cut off people or you hold people too long. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful that I've been able to have people along the way, like my goddad, Pastor John, like Pastor Harold Johnson Jr., like Pastor Scott Naley, like a lot of these people, Pastor Chris from Savannah, Georgia, my mentors, my brother Jarrell, one of my biggest mentors, to be like, that's trash, and I'm not going to let you settle. I don't want to hear your excuses because you're called for great and you know it. See, if I was just regular and random and whatever, then it'd be like whatever. But it's like, nah, you're called for greater. So I'm not going to let you walk around with the foster boy mentality because you're married and you have kids. And you can't tell your landlord that you grew up in foster care and that's going to pay your bills. That's not going to do nothing. And so it's either you're going to do your best to be healed from it, you know what I'm saying? Or you're going to just live in sadness for the rest of your life. And that's not easy to tell someone who doesn't have Jesus or doesn't have a hope of something that's bigger than them.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of hard to like push push certain people, but I'm grateful that I've been able to be the living example. You know what I mean? The word personified to a lot of people that have battled what I battled, whether it's molestation or being abused as a child, or if it's foster care or abandonment. I've been able to stand on my 2 feet and say, look, I made it through, and we can look at each other in the eye and know that it's still a struggle. Right. A lot of people that won't understand. Right. They like, oh, you're doing too much. Oh, this is like, bro, when you wake up and your real parents are not there and you're getting introduced as a foster kid, then you tell me how you're going to feel mentally about yourself. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's not that easy. And so like, you have a bunch of identity issues. You have a bunch of those things, and they're on the outside, because there's a lot of masks that come with that. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like like I told you earlier, I had the humor mask, right? And I thought I wore it good. And I'm, in the room, you feel me? I'm kind of like top 5 in any room. So I'm trying to go for the gusto every single time. Or when it comes to fashion, like I'm going to try to be the flyest one in the building. Mm-hmm. Oh, where'd you get them from? Boy, don't even trip. They Vans, but you ain't going to know. Like I'm always like, I was always trying and wearing masks and try to mask up something that was really real. And that's why like a lot of people don't really know why I smile. They just see me being happy, but I only smile because I actually should be dead. Like not the story that we testify, and it's the same everybody that gets up and says testimony and said, God, I should be dead sleeping in my grave. Like, bro, in 9th grade, bro put a gun to my head, robbed me of all the weed I had on me, and it was my cousin's weed. I was over here stunting at school. I had after school, I had 3 big zips of weed, and bruh was my partner. We had class together.
For those that don't know what zips are. That's me being goofy. I'm sorry. Go tell your testimony. I'm sorry.
Okay. So I had
3 zips on you. Go.
Big, large Ziploc bags of weed in my baseball bag. And bruh, my dude I went to school with, we had class together. Like I went to school with him back in the day. We had class together. Robbed me. He pulled out a gun. Wow. And I'm in all my pride because I'm with whatever he with, and I got my gun in my backpack. So I'm like, I'm nervous, but I'm still kind of cocky because we just played Fight Night, Mike Tyson, at his house 2 days ago with all my cousins. So it's like, why would we know where you live? And my cousins is with it, super with it, and so I don't really get it. And then at the end when he takes it, I'm like, bro, why would you do that? We know where you stay. And he said, that's right. Boom, boom, boom. And the gun didn't go off. I pull out my gun in my backpack. I shoot in the air. And when I start running, then his gun goes off. Wow. So it's like to make it out of that, like a lot of people, you hear that and you say, well, you live. But then you say, that was my friend that I played football with. I did all of that with. And he just betrayed me for weed that he was never going to be able to smoke or sell because we know, and my girlfriend and her mom watched me walk away with bruh. So if something were to happen to me, they'll say that was the last person, right. And then you and your family gonna die. They're not gonna play no games. They're not gonna pray about it. They're not gonna seek wise counsel. They're gonna come and kill you. You know what I'm saying? Wow. If you were to do something to me. And so it was just like, as a person, I felt like I was worthless. I felt like, bro, right. Even my partner tried to kill me. Even that. And so like making it from years of dealing with that is not a blink of an eye, but God is my witness, and you can ask my wife, I've come a long way. Now, when you're fighting through that, you start to become a little mean and try to learn how to be cold-hearted a little bit, because people kind of go through those stages like, you know, in middle school where they're kind of mean, standoffish or whatever. But I was trying to please people all the time, even with my meanness. So I was like a little bit of a bully because people, they respect you. They fear you. You have some sort of like coolness to your name. Yeah.
And it's like protection too, you know, keeps you, you know, guarded and self-preservation. And so, I never did that. You know what I mean? I was always just open book, because I wanted people to feel sorry for me, because if they felt sorry for me, they would like me or care for me or do for me or whatever, right? It's just that foster kid mentality. And so long story short, being able to, I don't want to act like I have just arrived, you know what I'm saying? And now I'm stronger, I'm wiser, right? I don't want to act like
I am at the peak of the greatness of a man, but I'm so grateful that I'm not who I expected to be. You know what I'm saying? Because I expected to be this, like, always never being able to, if God told me to leave a church, I can't leave because they're gonna be all mad and I don't know how to deal with people being mad at me. You know what I'm saying? Before, like I was trying to say, because I did lose my train of thought a little bit. Like I was trying to say is I started to have that like mean, cold-hearted streak, right? Where I didn't care about what you thought. Like, okay, so, and I realized that I was processing. And I remember my pastor was like, "You kind of cold-hearted," because I was like, purposely not building relationships with people because I felt like every time I built a relationship, I was being fake. Because it's like, I actually don't want to build a relationship with you. We just go to church together, so you got to be cool. And I didn't want that to be the reason why we got to be cool. It just was whack of me, but I was processing out of that, like always trying to be the person that calls everybody, but nobody calls. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like coming, stemming from, from being a child. And so, like I said, I feel like I'm a lot better. I'm a lot stronger, but there's still way more room for me to grow. Ask my wife; she'll tell you.
Justin, I love this interview right now because just like the past few conversations that I've been having with friends, colleagues, creatives that are in the industry have all kind of been, and over the last few years have dealt with, I think the essential key of what we're talking about today, or what you're even sharing, is really being healed and whole. Like, people want to be artists, people want to be creatives, and they want the spotlight, they want the platform, but they're not whole. So they operate out of brokenness, and especially in gospel music or Christian or faith-based music, where the expectation is the very message that you're speaking or releasing to me, the message of hope that you're giving to me, you yourself can't even believe or walk in that. We have a lot of artists that carry that. I feel so strongly that your testimony is, I have no idea how far this will reach, but I feel like this conversation, your experiences, because there's so many little bits and pieces that I want to kind of like highlight and whatnot, but for sake of time, we can't really go there. But it's freeing just to hear it, because your experience with, your friend, like, I mean, you highlighted it yourself.
That was my bruh, like, and I mean, that was my bruh. We robbed houses together, like, you know what I mean? Like, we done so much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to betray your boy is crazy.
And I think so many creatives, because that's the community that I believe that I'm called to, but I believe so many creatives have dealt with so much betrayal and have not really, and so whatever it looks like, whether it be with a contract, whether it be with, an artist, an opportunity, friendship, relationship, whatever, the betrayal is not healed from. Like, we haven't learned yet, just in general. And I love the fact that you mentioned, you may not be at the, the point of the epitome of what a man is, but you're a process, and you are growing and learning. And I think we did a shout out to marriage. I think marriage is one of the key places where you really, really develop that mirror.
100%.
I got married and it showed me more of me than anything. It was, and I feel like our walk with Christ needs to be just like that. And I love that he compares, husband and wife just to like Christ, us in Christ, like as husbands, like it has to be that love. Like, what are we showing? What are we seeing? What are we revealing? Like, I love that.
Brown skin, pretty eyes. At first sight, I was hypnotized. Still can't believe God gave me. 10 years with 3 kids. Don't know how, but we did it. By the Grace of God, I still have you. We won some, we lost some too. Fussing and we fight, we do. But every day is still wild. Oh, we've been through hell and back. Cold summers, we had them bad. But if I'm gon' freeze, I'ma freeze with you. Yeah. And even if I'm old and gray, and I can't remember my own name, one name I won't forget is you. Yeah. I wanna make all your dreams come true. And I promise I will fight until I die. 'Cause girl, I love you in every way. And I will always be right by your side. We got nothing can stop us. No mountain that he won't climb up. Let's show the world love's alive. Hey. We've been through hell and back. Cold summers, we had them bad. If I'm gon' freeze, I'ma freeze with you. I'ma freeze with you. And even if I'm old and gray, and I can't remember my own name, one name I won't forget is you. Never forget me and you forever. It's gonna be me and you forever. Together, it's gonna be me and you forever. It's gonna be me and you forever together. We've been through hell and back. Cold summers, we had them bad. If I'm gon' freeze, I'ma freeze with you. Yeah. And even if I'm old and gray, and I can't remember my own name, and I can't remember one name I won't forget. I won't forget you.
I want to do what we do in indie takeover tradition. I hate the word tradition, so I got to say something else. Indie takeover fashion. I don't know.
Okay,
whatever.
yeah, regular fashion.
You know,
that's real churchy though.
Yeah, it is. But see, I'm cold. I grew up Kojic. I don't know nothing
Me
else.
too. I don't know what else to say. Because I thought fashion before you said it.
Right. What do I say? Lord, give it to me. Okay, here we go. So I asked random questions to all my guests. So my question to you is, and this is probably a easy question for you.
Okay.
If you had to eat one meal every day for the rest of your life, would it be breakfast, like breakfast food, lunch food? And when I say lunch food, I mean cold food, because a lot of people feel like you could eat lunch for dinner or dinner leftovers. No, what I mean by lunch, I mean like a sandwich or a salad, like cold stuff you can't warm up. Or dinner.
Breakfast.
Really? So you one of them breakfast ones?
Yeah, it's not up for debate. It's not even the thing.
Okay, well, second question then. What's your favorite breakfast food?
It has to be pancakes.
Okay.
Mine.
Oh, you make them?
Yeah, pancakes.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can make real good.
Yeah.
I can make a good water and pancakes.
A strong water. Got
some ice in it, some water. Be like, bro, put enough cubes.
Man, you could put some mint in there, some lemon slices.
Hey, going crazy.
You could listen. They'll be like, man, Justin make the best water
I ain't never seen, bro. Call him, bro.
Man, this water cold, bro. Justin, I gotta say thank you so much for your time. But I'm not gonna end without you letting the Indie Takeover audience know how we can find you, how we can follow you and stalk you on all social media platforms.
Oh, good. Hey, y'all can find me on Instagram, Facebook, all of that at official Justin Goss. On YouTube, please check out YouTube. Got some fire videos on there.
Yes, sir.
At least I think they're fire. on it's official Justin Goss, everything. So yeah, man.
I love it. We actually didn't get any time to talk about these latest songs that you released.
We dove in though. We did.
But y'all listen, Justin got some dope music that you've heard throughout this episode. But y'all need to listen, stay linked and locked into Justin and everything he has going on, because it is incredible. He's been incredible. He's doing some great stuff. And I'm honored to say that I know him, and I got his number saved in my phone so I could text him anytime. And it ain't got to be like, I ain't got to go through his manager all the time to figure out.
Right. Shout out to our manager, Khalif, my guy. Shout
out to Khalif Pleasance. But no, I actually know Justin. So if I see him in public, he'll act like he know me. So Justin,
brother,
thank you so much, bro. Love you. Again, this has been another episode of the Indie Takeover Show with Jeremy Gibson, and this has been my special guest, Justin Goss, all the way from Fairfield, the last city in the Bay. And we're ending with Justin's latest song, Good Lawyer. Y'all listen. Peace.
Drag my name through the dirt. Yeah, it broke me. I admit it hurts, 'cause I'm guilty. But you stepped in, came to defend. Your grace you give, and I don't deserve. You're a good lawyer. Fight for me. Yeah, I don't have to fight anymore. You're my strong tower. The way you protected me. God, you're my shield and my sword. The good lawyer. Oh, the good lawyer. Oh, the good lawyer. I almost walked away. Thought you failed me. I've been praying all night and day. Do you hear me? But you stepped in, came to defend. Your grace you give, I don't deserve. You're a good lawyer. The way you fight for me, I don't have to fight anymore. You're my strong tower. The way you protected me. God, you're my shield and my sword. The good lawyer. Oh, the good lawyer. Oh, the good lawyer. You're the good